Hello and welcome. It is your weekly program that continues to be concerned with the virtual gathering. That is the gathering that occurs on air and online. I'm Sherwood McCaskey, as always. Thanks for your time. A very warm welcome to our viewers around the world and those of you who are joining us via the World Wide Web. This week, my community takes you to one of the highest elevations in the parish of St. Peter, Black Bess. As expected, it is very windy here. The program is carried by one of its proudest sons, Deputy High Commissioner to the UK, His Excellency the Reverend Charles Morris. Immediately you will note his unique description of his community.
Let me welcome you all to Black Bess. Black Bess is a traditional district in Barbados. As a matter of fact, being from here myself, I would tend to say that it is the #1 district in Barbados. And it is one of the very few lasting traditional districts that you would find. All of the traditions that we had before are still held up here. The people are still as unified as they used to be, and we still have a lot of activities that we used to do in the past. They still go on up here. Right now we are right here on the premises of the former Black Bess School that has produced many people. I went here, all my friends from Black Bess went here. You will find persons like Hilary Beckles and Alwyn Adam, all of them attended the school. And I must say that the school has played a tremendous part in the development of young people here, because growing up we were all told by our parents that to get a good education, to be better than them. And the Black Bess School, we used to call it the Black Bess Mixed School, played a very large role in our development.
Although the building has been demolished, this area here is nevertheless regarded as a sacred space here in the community. In fact, all that it represents continues to be celebrated here in Black Bess, Mangrove and Rock Hall.
Let me list some of the names. I'm going to start with a fellow called Charles Morris. He used to teach at Black Bess. Yes, I taught at Black Bess. Let me start with him first. And then there was everyone knows some of the students at the school there. There was a fellow called Colin Jordan that he was in my class. Colin Jordan. And he had to feel the wrath of my hand as well. So no doubt he's become a politician. Well, yeah, I taught him at Black Bess, but we go back to the persons who really shaped us, the teachers that shaped us. I can think about Mr. Dutton, the headmaster. Mr. Downs, another headmaster. And then I know there was Mr. P.T. Smith and Mr. Yearwood. But teachers, you found people like, I have to mention this, Mrs. Riley, Mr. Clifford Jordan, who is Colin Jordan's father, Miss Hope from Spikestown, Brenda Hope, she was there as well. Miss DePisa, Miss Pollard lives in Orange Hill. There's the Griffiths from the Whim. They're taught here as well. There was another Mr. Jordan. You don't remember their first names because in those days we couldn't call people their first names. It was, but several of them helped us along the way. And we were always taught how to. It was not just about, again, English and math and all these things, but about life and how to improve our lives. And some of us were really benefited from it. In 1975-76, there were a group of us that left school. We decided that we were going to form what we call a Black Bess Old Scholars Association. Not one of us on that committee was 18 years old. In fact, the only person who was over 18 was a man called Coleridge Combach, and he was the treasurer. I don't know if the people could not trust us, so they elected a senior head as the treasurer. But we used to put on talent shows up here. Yeah, we used to do that in the school. It was every second Saturday in December. For all of these years, we were our own actors and actresses. We created our own program. We did our own plays. We did all of these things up here in that little place. You know. I remember once saying, or somebody saying that, you know, Black Bess was a natural actor. We as a natural actor, we used to do it. As we had one play. I remember once we had a play in which this fellow John Levy and I were supposed to be fighting. You know, supposed to be fighting. We were fighting on the stage on the floor. And his grandmother got up and came on the stage and partied the two of us, and there were people who felt that was part of it. It was not part of it, but that is what she did. She just came and she got up and she partied the two of us. And I mean, the whole place went boiled that night. But that is it. So we did that. Then we had 4-H. We had 4-H events. We had old scholars, 4-H. And the same persons you would find in the 4-H were some of the same persons you found in the old scholars. Okay? And we had that here. We used to take part in 4-H Achievement Day. We used to be, you know, in competition with All Saints 4-H as well. So we had our own every group we had up here. We had what we call the Applied Nutrition Program group. That's where people used to meet in the school and discuss all things nutrition, and they would cook this and cook the next, and you know, we had everything here you could think about.
In the traditional Barbadian community, elders were revered and celebrated. The younger generation was taught the importance of sitting at the feet of those wisdom folks and learning. It was, in a sense, part of this community's rites of passage.
It's the way we were brought along by those. You had the older people. We heard their stories. We knew what they were saying. They told us about life, about their lives, about how they overcame. And we tend to follow that as well. And then there were guys who were older than us. There used to be somewhere here, a bath, and we always assemble outside the bath, and they would tell us, you know, they would bring us along with them. And I don't know if you call it a rite of passage or what, but they told us, and they not only told us, but they showed us how we could develop as young men. And we did. We had fun together as well. We had fun. Here in Black Bess, all of us that grew up, we were raised by this village. Not by a mother, not by a father. We were raised by this village. We were everybody's concern. And therefore, there were some of us who were so mischievous that every day somebody had to report to their mothers or fathers what wrong thing they did. One thing I must say in those days, that you could travel from St. Lucie to St. Philip, and there was always somebody who would take care of you or who would watch out for you. Even if it was the snow cone man in the bus stand. That used to happen, okay? So we were everybody's concern. And there was no telephones. To be quite honest, there were no telephones. I believe that Black Bess must have been one of the last districts that had electricity. You know, but there were no telephones, and even if we did something wrong at school in Bridgetown, by the time we got home, our parents knew. I don't know, the level of communication was so sophisticated that, and somehow we couldn't help doing the wrong thing because we were boys and we were girls, so we couldn't help doing the wrong thing. But I remember growing up here with no electricity up here, yet we were happy. And throughout my life, I've learned that your joy does not depend on your circumstances, because there are some persons who would wait to achieve wealth, to achieve something in order to be happy. No, in fact, I feel that of all the districts in Barbados, Black Bess was the poorest. We were very, very poor. I'm not ashamed to say that. True. I'm sure that nobody here is ashamed to say that. If you look to your right, left, in front, behind, there was poverty. But we were so happy. We were so happy. We enjoyed this life. We enjoyed watching things like the mobile cinema coming up here. We didn't have any TV. We didn't have any TV. And coming on the pasture there. We enjoyed sitting all around and hearing people talk. These days, you know, I hear so much about child abuse. But as I said, we were the concern of everybody. So it did not make sense. I remember many times going by the Rochesters, we were always very close, going by the Rochesters, and I mean, there were a whole set of boys, so you know boys will do boy things. And when we did something wrong, Mr. Rochester would flog all of us, including me. And you know, you think then that he would keep his mouth shut. He would go and tell my grandmother, well, you know, I had to put some licks on that boy. And that's another sort of thing again. But those were the days. And I really, really enjoyed my life up here. Sometimes I always felt that the flogging was not abusive at all. That's not abusive. Because sometimes when we were in the house, and we want to go, I was, you know, saying, beat me, let me go, beat me, let me go. But that never came. I feel, and honestly, the worst form of child abuse that you could put on a fella is to put him in those days in a house to sit at 1 o'clock in the day with classical music with Auntie Olga and all those things. And you got a young boy in there sitting and all his friends out there playing and he cannot move, looking in one direction. That, in my view, is child abuse.
One of the celebrated pieces of legislation often spoken about, and one which transformed the island socially, is the Tenantries Freehold Purchase Act that came into existence on the 1st of November 1980. The effects of that transformative piece of legislation was seen and felt throughout Black Bess.
The Freehold Tenantry Purchase Act would have allowed us to purchase our land up here. And you would see that there are some lovely houses up here. And you know, one of the things that I really admire about Black Bess in the olden days is that we watch persons building their own houses and never had a mortgage for them. It is amazing. And some of these houses are, you know, but they're built and they're around piece, you know, the next month they do something. They may not touch it for another 3 months, but then as soon as they, as they will say, and I don't know if it's just Black Bess language or Bajan vernacular, but there was, as they sort of could see the hand or see themselves, they around a little more and they go. And that is how you'll find that people develop. We now today have mortgages. You have mortgages, and you know how sometimes how difficult that can be. But the kind of examples that they set us, you know, I still try to, even that part of it. So you see that that allowed them to develop their houses. It allowed them to develop themselves as well.
And the evidence of this is seen throughout Black Bess and its people. Speaking about development, Deputy High Commissioner Morris highlights a number of the changing scenes and a major road that linked Black Bess to its sister community of Mangrove.
There have been a number of changes that have taken place up here in Black Bess. The school is no more. We have a playing field. You will find developed houses and that kind of thing, for the lack of, you know, a better term. But the housing has changed. There are no two ways about that. The road, there's a road structure that was put in place. First of all, as I said, back in the 60s there was no electricity, but we got electricity eventually. Then we had no street lights. It got street lights. It used to be a very dark place, but as you said, it was dark, but we were still a happy bunch of people. To get from this side of the road to the other side of the road, this side of the Black Bess, the other side, or to get to Mangrove, then there was a little track. Cars could not drive there, but you know what? People would walk it. the rocks were sharp. And because we knew the road so well, it seemed as if the rocks ducked from our feet when we walked. The sharp rocks ducked from our feet when we walked. Or our feet knew where to step. But imagine in those days, some person in Mangrove sick, and they want to get an ambulance. The ambulance will have to come up here, pass here, go straight up to Rock Hall, go through what we call a cart road, come down, and all these are bumpy, and they took a long time to get down, and come way down on a bumpy road again to get to that people's house. Then to get them out, they had to go back because the little road that was there, or the shortest form of the road that was there, you could not traverse it. We could walk it, but not by any sort of transportation. So then, I think from around 1984, 85, 86, they began to, they built a road there with a bridge, and the water goes underneath. Now, I must say something about that too, because behind where I used to live was a gully. The water used to come down. As you can see, it's on a hill. And sometimes we got some of the water from Rock Hall. And we'll come down, go through that gully, way down, go all the way down to the Rim Gully, and end up in somewhere in Spice Town. I believe that if they want to trap some of this water, they can dig some wells just below the Rim Gully itself and trap the water there.
There is something fascinating about flowing water, especially when it flows through a water course that is ordinarily dry 95% of the year. There is a sense of excitement and joy as you watch the natural might and force of that water as it carries along almost everything in its way.
And you know, to see the water itself coming down, we used to watch it. And as boys, sometimes we used to be in there in that water. I don't know if I do those things, but I'm telling you, I would not do those things now. But you know, boys are always adventurous. Then, in the midst of Mangrove was a cane field. And on 2 or 3 occasions, we had fires starting way up Rock Hall and coming down and burning in the middle of houses. You know, houses all around the cane field. But you know what? If you saw the tremendous effort that all of us put together to ensure that every house was safe or was saved, then you could not help but admire it. It is something that this community always worked together, and we did things together. You know, so it is a place that I'm sure you yourself would like to live. I never would encourage anybody to come live out here.
He is correct. I would. And if you were to take the drive into the community and survey the area, you would experience that community-spirited nature of the people. Now, churches have played a fundamental role in the evolution of Barbadian communities, from providing that literal platform where the youth were allowed to recite, perform and sing, to the provision of religious instructions and the tenets that taught us how to live in harmony with our neighbors.
A little further on the road is the church. Now, that church too played a very significant role in development of life. It is, in Black Bess, that was the center of God. It was the center of religion. It was the center of Christianity. And you will find that the church affected and impacted on the lives of every individual up here. There were some who didn't used to go there, but they still assisted with whatever project the church had going on. Whether it was harvest, those who did not, who would have gone to St. Peter's Parish Church or other churches, things like harvest time, Mother's Day, Christmas programs, people all from all over still came and assisted in that program. And therefore, I remember one Sunday, the pastor, some of us from, because I used to go there, I want people to know that I went to that church. I went to that church. That is where it began for me. And right here in this district. And I would always treasure all the things that I learned at Black Bess New Testament Church of God. For me, that was the beginning, and that is what shaped me. And I do not have any regrets. I don't think that we can do a history of Black Bess without mentioning the name of the pastor of the church, Sister, we used to call her Sister Rock, or you on Rock. But she exerted a tremendous influence up here as well. She seemed to know everything that went on up here, even though she didn't live up here, but she knew everything that went on up here. And but you know, in terms of the ministry and church, I think Sister Rock epitomized that. She knew what it was to be to have ministry going on in a community. It was not just about preaching every Sunday. It was not just about telling people to come and getting saved, but she was the one that impacted on people in at the very level of their existence. To be quite honest with you, sometimes she fed us, she gave us clothes, she was able to counsel some of us, she put some of us on the right path. It was life in Black Bess.
All of this underscores the importance of community life, a group of people living in a locality where their existence is characterized by harmony. They work together, they play together, they celebrate each other, and of course, they look out for the interests of everyone in the community. When this is blended with a festive celebration, it must be special.
From the time you start down the road, when you make that first corner come up, you smell everything. You smell everything, everybody baking, everybody. Then, leading up to Christmas, you know, you find people cutting the cuscus grass. They're putting it to dry because they're going to make a bed from that. That's how you made the bed. So you found everybody doing that. So you find all over the place grass, cuscus grass, to make bed. You find people tidying up their surroundings. And every little grass and a rock, you find people pulling it out, because this is a special time of the year. Then you will find that they will take what we call the marl, and they will spread it all over the yard, you know, because it was white. Christmas too was one of those times when everybody helped everybody. And if you want to see the real Christmas spirit, that was it. It was at that time when people really prepared for this thing. Everybody had new clothes. Christmas was a time when you had especially a new pants, a new shirt, a new tie, you know what it is, whatever it was, they used to have that. Then come Christmas morning, we go to church, we come back, and this is time to celebrate Christmas. But what you found, we used to go to every house. Sometimes you wonder how you managed to take in all that, but we went to every house. And even though maybe you were eating the same thing, it was as if you didn't eat anything before, because you really appreciated it. You really appreciated it. So you'll find that at Christmas time, everybody is happy. We didn't have, you know, all these gifts and this kind of thing. But I think the gifts, for me, was in the love and the kind of sharing that people had. And sometimes we used to make our own toys. We used to make our own Christmas toys. And then you will find the day after Christmas, that was when we had the church excursion or outing. And everybody going on those two buses, it was this church here, you know, going on those two buses. And I remember the pastor, Pastor Rock, she used to get the elite buses to come. And there was a guy called Egbert, he used to drive. And no matter how slow Egbert is driving, Pastor Rock, I tell him, little slower, Egbert, little slower. You know, and a little slower, Egbert, little slower. But that was fun. So we go to King George V Memorial Park, and then we leave there, the park, and go to the airport. That was it. And we enjoyed seeing it because, you know, boys like us, it was amazing to see the planes taking off. And sometimes you wish one of these days you'd be on the plane. Now it is so normal. But you go to the airport, you watch a plane take off, and then when you leave, it is so sad. I remember once that a group of us from up here went to the excursion, and they got left at the airport. I think they had to walk from the airport down here, and I won't tell you the other things that happened on the way. But the thing is that it was still fun. I mean, we still talk about these things. You know, it was still fun. But Christmas, I wouldn't give up a Bess Christmas for anything. That's the honest truth.
We Gather in 2020 was expected to reignite that special love for country and bring about a recommitment to the Barbadian values that made us who we are. In my travel around the island during this year, I had the very good fortune of meeting individuals with an undying love for and a special commitment to this island. His Excellency Charles Morris details a similar experience which occurred at his office in London.
2 weeks ago, a lady came to my office and she wanted to do something for the Windrush people, Bajans in England. And she said she was not born in Barbados. She was born in England. She said, but I love Barbados. She said, I am going home. I must go home this year. I said, go home? She said, yes, I'm going home. Barbados is my home. And she said, whenever she comes here and she leaves, she cries. And then she said, and she began to cry in my office. She said, with tears coming out, she said, it is not about the sand or the sea. It's about the connection with my people. She said, the best Christmases she spent in Barbados. And said that with tears, it's the connection. And I told her, well, that's because you didn't spend one in Black Bess. If you spend one in Black Bess, you wouldn't say about the other places. But these stories, I hope they do not die. I hope they don't die. Christmases, you know, somebody sang a song, Christmas long ago. It was really Christmas.
Life, as it were, in the community of Black Bess as seen through the lens of one of its proudest sons. Thank you very much, Deputy High Commissioner. Until next week at the same time, I'm Sherwood McCaskey. This has been My Community Black Bess. Goodbye for now.